If you like this sort of information, if you like to hear what I have to say on different types of sets and reps and training and exercises, make sure you tune into the Natural Gallant Bodybuilding Podcast on Patreon. I'll put the link down in the description. Mountain.
Train the muscles, not the joints.
Welcome back to Natural Gallant Bodybuilding. Mountain. And today I'm going to talk to you a little bit about how to do giant sets if you want to make sure that you're not necessarily getting muscle exhaustion in the first exercise and therefore affecting the second one, and at the same time ensuring that you're not going into the aerobic or endurance phase of training. So basically what I'm saying is this is a way of making a giant set into a high volume training type of format, which may give you an added benefit or at least a different way of stimulating the muscle. So the standard way a lot of people do giant sets is that they'll do one exercise and they'll take it right to failure and they'll just burn that muscle out, and then they'll go to the next exercise and try to take that to failure with minimal rest, right? Now, the great thing about this is that you are ensuring that you're taking a muscle to absolute exhaustion. But what if the first exercise is very effective because you can have a lot of energy for that, but the second exercise, one could argue that you're kind of worn out. So maybe the second exercise, you're not necessarily getting the same benefit because you don't have the energy to put into it. Now you could start alternating exercises and do one exercise before the other, and then the next time you train that body part, then switch the exercises up, and that could be a relevant way of doing this. But one thing I think that it's important for people to remember, and that I'm getting a lot of benefit from in my own training right now, is more of a high volume training approach. And what I mean by this is that you are focusing on getting sets in with a decent amount of weight, but your focus is not necessarily getting to muscular failure in the first set. You're trying to basically do multiple sets and hit maybe close to failure or 2 or 3 reps short of failure, but you're trying to constantly immerse a muscle into using a heavy weight. Now, if I had a big rock, I could sink that thing, I'm sure of it. Now, I think with giant sets, using a high volume approach could be an effective way for you to hit the muscles, but not necessarily hit your cardio capacity where you're out of breath in between sets, or maybe possibly just burning out the muscular energy so much that you're not able to do a lot of heavy weight with a lot of different exercises. So my point is that if you're not hitting failure with these giant sets, one could argue that you may be able to get a stronger muscle contraction as you're training. So say you could do 20 reps for chin-ups, and instead you do 10 reps of chin-ups, and then you use a weight with bent over rows that you could usually do 20 reps with, and then you only do 10 reps with. You're not necessarily hitting the same intensity level as far as pushing deep into failure, but if you do multiple sets of this, like 10 sets, that could be a different way of stimulating the muscle and constantly introducing it into multiple angles of attack in order to get some sort of benefit. So, some jet skis out there. I'd use a jet ski, but I swim faster than that, so what's the point, right? It's just a bunch of noise at that point. The only problem is I can't, swim too fast because the rooster tail, I keep on washing senior citizens off the dock, and they get mad about that. At least that's what they say before the bubbles leave their mouth for the last time. So yeah, hitting failure with giant sets is not necessarily a bad thing. That's fine. Like, you can hit failure with your first set and then go on to the next thing and kind of do a glorified superset, giant set sort of hybrid. But using this high volume approach may stimulate the muscle in a different way where you're tearing down fibers, but you're not necessarily depleting your energy reserves, just like high volume training, but yet you're able to use a decent weight. So for me, what I'll do right now in my higher volume type training is that I'll do 15 reps with a weight that I could probably do 20 to 25 reps with, and I'll do about 10 sets of that. And if I feel that I can easily hit 15 reps at the last set, then I might pump out 20 reps or 22 reps or whatever. And then the next time I come around to that exercise, I'll use an extra amount of weight, maybe 5 more pounds or 10 more pounds. But this is something that I think is also a great approach to high volume training, because you're getting some exercise variety and hitting the muscle from a variety of angles, but at the same time, you're not so exhausted from the first exercise that you can't do the second exercise. It's a smorgasbord of exercises. It's kind of a fun way to see if your body responds. And I think that sometimes pushing the muscle in a volume sort of approach can be effective, although it's not always effective. So please don't do this all the time forever, because every technique works for a period of time, but it doesn't always work forever. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes I'll go back to lower volume, super intense, super failure, super burny, super out of breath. And then other times I'll go into more this approach, which is closer to a powerlifting approach, where you're using decent weight and using higher amounts of sets, but constantly introducing the muscle to that stimulation. Mountain. So yeah, now I've got a lot of sand on the beach behind me, so now I just gotta find somebody to kick that stuff in, you know what I'm saying? What's the point of being at the beach if I can't kick sand in somebody's face, huh? When are you guys gonna come down here so I can kick sand in you? Mountain. So thanks a lot for watching. If you need to get hold of me, just go to naturalbodybuilding.com, and thanks to the Patreon supporters, and take care for now. Natural Gallant.